me start. First of all, once again, just the regular tradition of sorry we didn't do a cast last week. My fault again. The little petri bacteria dish known as my daughter brought something home, and she had like the sniffles, and I was pretty much laying on the floor, sweating profusely, feeling tired and like shit. So that's why there was no cast last week. But I feel better. Look, I'm alive. That's good.
It's very good.
Yeah. Fuck you. I don't need your pity. What I do need is a nice cold bottle of Guinness. Guinness.
Hashtag Guinness.
It won't give you whiskey shits. There you go. Jerry, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Earl Grey tea because my petri dish of a daughter brought her germs home, got me sick, but my love and dedication to this podcast and our audience out there, I'm pushing through it, and I'm showing up.
So you're swinging cough medicine?
Your daughter's
drinking
like
my medicinal. Yeah, there's some medicinal additives in my tea.
Hang on, your daughter is older, and she brings home adult diseases, which your body should be able to handle. My child brings home like child diseases, which are worse. You've been to school, like there's like cooties and stuff. I don't know. I don't read the medical journals, whatever those diseases are called. Man, I'm also scruffy. So thank you for being here, Jerry. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
You doing this. Also, you're hiding behind an avatar, so you can get away with looking like complete shit. I cannot.
It's true.
I bring this horrible facade with me everywhere I go to every podcast. I'm keeping it real, Jerry. Keep it real, okay?
I'm not. So I will apologize ahead of time if I'm a little bit slow on the mute button and I sneeze or cough or sniffle into the microphone. I will try to listen to that.
It's going to be fun editing that out later. Thanks, Jerry. All the power of Adobe AI is not going to be able to fucking isolate this. Anyway, or it'll make the rest of the podcast match it. Kevin, I'm afraid to ask, what are you drinking?
Come on, he's like, I'm drinking coffee and water.
Yes,
yeah.
But
it's 8:30 at night. Why are you drinking coffee?
I pregame the other stuff.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's not
my
called
current
pre-gaming.
level of coffee.
If you're getting high all day, it's not called pre-gaming. It's called
not all day.
Problem. It's called a problem.
There's no problem.
Yeah,
no, it's just for this podcast.
Yeah, I don't have a gambling problem. I just bet on things all day long. It's fine. I can stop whenever I want.
All right. Well, I'm telling you, I don't. I'll bet you $100 I don't have a gambling problem.
Exactly. All right. So, Jerry, speaking of gambling, you decided to bring politics into this conversation. So,
oh God. Wow, we're starting it off real, huh?
Well, look, you put it on the list. You got something to say. You're rolling that dice. You're going to be controversial today. I'm going to try to stay as quiet as I possibly can, because it's like the when they have those the yelling heads on like CNN and real and other news networks. I'm going to be the guy in the middle. I'll be the moderate guy. I'd be like, I agree. I see what you have to say, but are Nazis that bad?
I mean,
yes, they are. Just for the record, they are.
I can smell the demonetization.
So, Jerry, you seem to be very afraid of government shutdowns. Is one looming again?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know why we have. I mean, I guess I have to be careful what I say, because, I'm not condoning any kind of government overthrow, but most of the
please,
people in there
please, if you could just not do that, that'd be great. Thanks.
are completely
Yeah.
fucking useless. These Republicans can't even agree on what they want, and it's just like a pissing contest. They're trying to hold, the MAGA Republicans are holding McCarthy to like, you do this or we're going to vote you out. And he's like, it's just also stupid. And they're having this pissing contest. It's like a bunch of 3-year-olds in daycare slapping each other, fighting because they want some shiny toy or something. And they're like, fuck it, let like 6 million people not get paid. We don't care because we want to do, we want whatever the fuck we want. They're all fucking selfish, useless douchebags.
I agree,
That's
Jerry.
what I have to
They
say.
are, but also, are they? Kevin, you're supposed to be the other side of it.
Well, what's funny is I was going to say it's going to get worse because,
No,
there's
Kevin, you're supposed to be the other side. You're supposed
a
to be
side.
pro-Republican. You're supposed to be screaming like,
No,
"Hey,
that doesn't exist
no,
on this
no, you,
podcast.
no, you can't fake it. Just fake it.
Or in real life either. No, I can't fake
Okay,
it.
all right.
But
that's
I
fine.
will say,
That's
I mean, it is going to get worse, and there are all these freaking.
I mean, that's like this country's motto at this
narcissistic
point.
egos. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
all just gonna like
It's gonna get worse.
scream, everything's getting shitty. What about me? And all that shit's just gonna keep escalating. And next year, like I just saw, Trump's got like the highest percentage in the
Yeah,
for the Republicans. It's
absolutely.
just ridiculous.
And
I'm
have
not
you seen
surprised.
some of his? Have you seen some of his recent uh recordings or whatnot, like some of his rallies or whatever the fuck he's talking about like how Biden's fucking up and is about to bring around World War II, and how he's running against Obama, and how like
Is it two again?
Really?
About
Again?
he's talking about Jeb Bush and like how like Jeb Bush wasn't using his last name because he was embarrassed of it, and then Trump called it out and said like, hey, he's not using his last name, and then he started using it, like fucking rambling.
He derails worse than we do. He's
Oh my
he's really
God.
bad. It's
He is
insane just
so
watching
senile.
his train of thought just go like in all sorts of fucking directions. And he can't finish one thought without launching it into a completely incoherent second thought. And they're always disconnected, but he somehow bridges them. It's almost brilliant. I'm telling you, like he finds this weird link between like he's talking about like the economy to like our tacos are getting too spicy. He's just I don't know how he finds those connections, but he always does it, and it's incredible. And the funny thing is,
because
the people
But it's getting
watching
more
him,
tenuous
like
though.
his followers are like going along with it. They're like, no, he's right. He's right. The economy is bad, and it is because of spicy tacos. I nailed it.
well, that's why we need the wall to keep that spiciness out. It's all coming in from Mexico.
And clean and use the sauce to clean pennies.
Yeah, there you go.
Put the people in prisons to work.
Yeah, shove it up your ass. I hear it kills COVID. It's fine. But yeah, I mean, our government's a joke. Everybody knows it. It's an embarrassment. And the problem is that people are so focused on like the dumbest shit. Like everyone's throwing fits about the fact that Fetterman didn't wear a suit to a Senate hearing, and Lauren Boebert, whatever her name is busy getting fondled and blowing some guy in a theater. Like, who cares? Who the fuck cares? If that was the worst thing they were doing, we'd be in pretty fucking great shape. It's all the other stuff that they're actually. It's the way they're voting. It's the laws they're trying to pass. That's the real bad stuff. But meanwhile, people are like, "Can you believe she had her tits out in the theater?" Who gives a shit? Who the fuck cares? I don't even honestly. As much as I hate like Lauren Boebert, who the fuck gives a shit? Like her date, like she tried to give her date a hand job in a dark theater. Let her. Why do you care? Why?
Yeah, I get that, but what they're I
because it's
think the
morally
point
wrong,
of
don't you
that
know?
is that this person should be held to a higher standard.
But they
They're
should be held to a higher.
contributing to.
Yeah, no, I agree, but they should be held to a higher standard based on how they govern, not what they do. Like it goes back to the Bill Clinton thing. As much as I hate Bill Clinton, I don't give a shit that he got a blowjob. Like there's other reasons I hate Bill Clinton. It is not because he got semen on the presidential suit. I don't fucking care about that stuff. I care about all the important things that they're doing to destroy this fucking country. If they want to fucking wear shorts to a Senate hearing, or if they want to get a little dick on the side, I don't care. I really don't. I don't. It bothers me way more than they come to work and drive this country further into hell. So just all I'm saying is like don't be distracted by that shit. But you're
No,
and you're right, and you're bringing up the government shutdown. Like yeah, that actually is an important thing for many reasons. Um, all of which I definitely cannot name right now, but I know it's best. It's not just about people not getting paid. Like it's about having a functional government, which we don't have, whether it's
we
funded or
don't have.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Period.
yeah, yeah. Look, as always, like I said, I'm keeping an eye on the next elections and
Oh,
making
would
some
that fucking
choices.
delay the court proceedings? No, that's at a state level.
Which court proceedings?
There are federal court proceedings against Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing that's weird. Well, they're trying to also pass certain things where, like, I think if they decide that he's guilty of certain crimes, he just won't be able to run. Which I'm in a weird place with all that because part of me again is like, I know we made that mistake back in 2016, but part of me now is just kind of like, maybe it would be good if he ran again. I really don't think that this time around,
Who
like
are you talking about now?
Trump, I think if he did manage to run again, I don't think he has a chance in hell of winning.
Really?
Really? I mean, that's what
I
we
know.
thought the first time. So
Well, that's
I'm
what
not going to put my vote on that.
But if they
Eh,
disqualify him, theoretically, it's DeSantis at the top.
what I think is, yeah, what I'm saying is my fear is they put a competent person to run against Biden. That I think is a bigger fear because then the people who are sort of on the fence about being Republican
Yeah,
are
I can
voting for
see
Trump
that.
are
The
going to be like,
risk
oh,
is
good, yeah, I
you're
don't like
making
Trump.
an assumption he won't win.
Who won't win?
Trump.
I
It's
don't.
still a little
No, I'm
scary, I
saying,
think.
yeah. I'm saying I don't think he will. Yeah, it is scary, and like I said, we've made that mistake before. Um, I don't know, considering how he lost in 2020, and I I still think I think his the number of his followers is much lower these days than it was at that point. I can't imagine this country with everything that's going on in the courts with him and everything he's being indicted for. I can't imagine
Like
anybody would really vote for
the
him.
split states staying on the
Yeah.
red side.
I
But
get that, but I couldn't imagine that the first time, and look at what happened. So
You have to admit it was a different situation the first time. We always like, yes, he was a piece of shit always, but the first time there was this energy around him where he
it was
didn't just
also an
seem like
energy, an anti-politician energy. So they were going for like the known, non-politician person, but he turned out worse.
possibly, but I think like there was more like people were legitimately excited about voting for him back in 2016 because it was like, ooh, this is like different, and
Yeah,
he's totally
that's what I'm
different from what we
saying.
got on there. But I don't feel that anymore. Right now, there's this
Oh no,
bitterness about
it's
him.
not there
People
anymore.
aren't like
Yeah,
people aren't excited about him. They're just like, yeah, he's crazy old man. Like
but don't.
it's. I feel like all he has left is the extreme
is
zealots. I
this
don't think he has anything
podcast?
left beyond that.
No, but the thing about it is, the Republicans will still just vote down the line.
Yeah,
So
I think less will do it this time around than he
it
did in
only
2020.
matters in the split states, and like you said, how it was such on that edge. I mean, it was obvious, and he did all the shenanigans, but at the end of the
if
day,
he's
it should bias even more blue on
That's
the
what I'm
split
saying. I
states.
think
Yeah,
right. That's what I'm saying. I think if he runs again, which I even doubt he'll run, but if he runs, I think he's going to lose worse than he did in 2020. And at that point, I think the Democrats could put pretty much anybody up against him, which they sort of did with Biden. They literally threw a garbage, representative of the Democratic Party into the rink with Trump, and he still won.
And
I
Biden's
mean, come
winning.
on,
He's automatically the Democrat choice,
Yeah,
right?
that's
no, it's weird.
No one did
It's
any
not.
switch.
You can. They technically can primary about him. Back in the day, Bernie Sanders actually was going to primary against Obama in Obama's second term. So he was
But
talked out of it.
I'm
But
asking if you heard that was happening. I don't think it is, right?
it's weird. Supposedly not, but also no one's happy that Biden is
yeah.
running.
His
most
approval ratings are horrible.
Yeah, most of us who are gonna wind up voting for him are doing so like, oh fuck, I can't believe I have to vote for Biden again. Like I didn't want to vote for him the first time, and I have to vote for that fucking moron a second time.
I
It's
still
just-
think the same people we saw the last time should retry.
Well, that's not gonna happen though. Mostly because the Democratic Party is just as corrupt as anybody else, and they won't allow that to happen. I mean, they didn't allow it the first time. They didn't allow. They didn't allow it back in 2016. They didn't allow a fair primary in 2016. They didn't allow for a fair primary in 2020. Why would they do it now? That's not gonna. No, it's gonna be Biden, and if anything, they're gonna be, I think, focusing more on saying that hey, it's okay. Kamala Harris, she's good people. She can make do. Which I'll be honest, I'm not a fan of hers either, but I'll take her over Biden.
Yeah.
But
It's
you're
not- it's
gonna
not
have
sexy.
to because I
Because
don't think
Biden-
Biden's
Don't invoke.
gone too much long for this world.
Yeah, I think they've been weekend at Bidening him for quite a while.
We're just Bidening our time.
But there you go. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know. It seems like everybody who I mean, look, let's face it. I didn't think Trump would make it to this age. So, those people tend to surprise you. They're like,
When he had COVID, it was like a
that
situation.
generation just refuses. That generation is so hell bent on ruining the lives of the younger generations that they basically are refusing to die. They're just like, no, there's still more housing that we can steal from them. We can fuck up with, we can fuck up their futures just for a few years more. Let's do it. Let's defy death. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah.
I think I
mean, look,
read something like they still have 20 years of influence, right?
Oh, the damage they've done is going to last long past like our lifetime.
Yep, I know. We're gonna have
the boomers. Yeah, the boomers did quite a
crazy-
number on this earth.
yeah, but from 24 to 28, it's gonna be like the real shitstorm, in my opinion. That's my prediction.
As usual, I'm pretty much going from election to election. Anything can happen. I'm hoping for the best, expecting the worst. That's all there is. That's all I can do. I don't think there'll be but going back to what Jerry was saying, I don't think there'll be a government shutdown. One of the biggest reasons is because the Republicans do have control of the House, and technically, I forget why, but a government shutdown works the worst, I think, against the Republicans. I don't remember why, but basically they're like known. The last few times we've had a government shutdown, it's always been because of Republicans. So if they do it again, it's gonna once again look like they can't. Like it means like they really can't govern because the government
they can't
because they're
right,
a bunch
because
of
they can't.
bullies.
Right. So someone will bend. It'll probably be McCarthy because he's a pussy. He'll probably give those extremists whatever the fuck they want and get those votes, and that'll be the end of it. And I'll go to Senate. Apparently McConnell is
then
yelling at him to get shit done.
Whatever they want isn't going to be what the Democrats want, because they're going to be like, cut all the funding, like kill the old people, take away their Social Security, and like any kind of assistance program will be gone if they get and then it's going to get stalled, when it comes for the Democrats to vote.
Yeah, I mean, like anything else, is just eventually some point there'll be a compromise. If there's a government shutdown, I'm sure it'll last. We've had them before. I think the longest one we had was for like about a month, and the world didn't come to an end. The one before that was lasted for like 5 days. So It worse, it'll probably be a few days, if that, and then they'll figure something out. I don't like. Yeah,
Yeah,
Who
that's
knows? It
pretty
could
much
be
it.
epic and be like 6 months.
I can't
That
imagine
seems
this country.
extreme.
Yeah.
I can't imagine this country can survive an actor strike and a government shutdown. I'm pretty sure people will absolutely riot at this. So
Wait. Is Reagan still the president? What?
yeah,
I mean,
fire all the airport workers.
Trump's an actor. Why won't he strike?
Have you heard how he talks? Nobody writes his speeches. There's no writers involved in anything Trump says.
No, there you go.
So, anyway,
All right, let's move on from that.
yeah. So, but speaking of shows that are written, um, Jerry, I think I asked this before, but you did mention the Continental, the John Wick show. So, what did you want to say about it?
I mean,
Oh, I'm sorry.
not
Hold on.
much. I just
Hold on. This concludes the political segment of this show. Anybody who had us muted, you can unmute us now. We're going to talk about better stuff.
if they had us muted, how could they hear you just say that?
Jerry, what did you think about the Continental? What did you want to say? About the Continental?
Yeah, I just when I turned on my TV today, there was an ad for it, and I was like, oh, I forgot about it, and I went to check it out, but because I don't pay for cock, I don't have it. I can only watch the preview. You have to pay for the cock to get the preview, the full thing. But the preview looked great, and I was like, "Oh wow! I want to know if either of you guys."
What happens if you don't get the full thing?
Yeah, no, just the tip is the preview. So
Yeah.
but
So
it
I
looks
have not.
cool.
It does. I have not seen it. I heard it's pretty bad. I
Oh
don't know
really?
anything. Uh, just what I've heard. I still kind of want to see it, but I heard it's not very well done. It's sort of like meanders and it's kind of boring, and then it's sort of like they have some really cool opportunities to make something original, interesting that exists within the universe, and they just didn't do it.
Right.
But I've personally not seen it, so I can't tell you. Kevin, have you seen it?
And we know
No, I
Kevin
haven't.
hasn't seen it.
No. Well, yeah.
I don't think we have
There-
that
No, you
that
have no cock.
subscription either.
You do not have cock. I'm sorry. But it's funny you
It's
mentioned like
unfortunate.
I just saw a preview for it. So one of the reasons I don't know if you noticed, but you may not have been seeing as many previews for shows and movies is because of the actor strike. The writers and actor strike. One of the things that it affects is promotion of content. So a lot of movies and shows aren't getting promoted the way they usually would be up at this point. And that is interesting because some movies are getting completely missed out on. So I didn't know, but apparently Expandables 4 came out this weekend.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that too.
Yeah, there was like zero marketing. This is like a major Hollywood action movie that there was no marketing for, and it bombed horribly. There's some debate whether it was about
The strike
it being a really bad movie or whether it was just not marketed. But I was just surprised. It was, it's a huge Stallone action movie, and I did not hear about it until I heard that it bombed. I mean, it's got Jason Statham in it, so I'm gonna watch it at some point.
It's interesting with all they could have like AI, journal bombed the
It's not so.
X
It's
and
not
all that
about.
other shit.
It doesn't matter. Basically, it has to do with. I don't know how all this stuff works about like what's considered crossing the picket line, but basically, like the people who work at like who do the movie promotions, who like do the posts, aren't allowed to do it. That's technically like
Yeah.
writing. Like they can't write a creative tweet about a movie.
Oh, so an
That's
AI
considered-
journalist on Twitter would be like the worst offense.
Yeah, so like a lot of YouTubers stopped creating content, including like reaction content. Thank God. But because technically that's considered promotion of these movies and shows, and they're not allowed to do that. But the good news is, or some news is that apparently this might be coming to an end. I think they said they reached like a tentative agreement, which lasts a whopping 3 years. In 3 years, we're going to be doing this shit again.
And just that by that time is when
Right
the
when real-
shows will have gotten back on track after after no writing for however long.
Right. But also, it will be just around the time that AI gets even better.
Yeah.
And then they'll really be able to sell all these actors and writers to fuck right off.
Speaking of which, did you see the latest where you show a picture and be like, how do I lower the seat on my bike? And it like says, get the, by seeing the picture and your question, it guides you through, look for the lever under the seat, blah, blah, blah. And then like, if you follow up with a new picture, no, that's not a lever. Use this thing. And it like
What is
can
it?
coordinate the image with the question. It's actually pretty
No,
fucking fantastic.
I've never seen that. No. So what do you like? Put it a model of whatever you're working on, and then say like, how do you adjust something on this model of bike that I have? And it gives
Yes.
you pictures.
Like, how do I change my tire?
pretty cool.
Undo the bolt at the hub of the tire, using
don't
this
say
lever
that.
and
You'll
these
give-
tools.
Don't say how do I change the tire. You'll give Jerry PTSD. You still remember Jerry tried to change his tire?
Wasn't the problem the tube? Or was it the
No,
whole
the problem.
tire?
No, the problem was Jerry. This,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Jerry.
So,
Jerry still walks the bike path because he never got a tire on his bike. He sort of just like walks around all sad with a stick.
okay, so
We keep giving you kudos for fake riding. What is this shit?
yes, I do not have a back tire on my bike, but that's because I have a very nice functional trainer on there. Oh my god! So like,
It was
I
easier
don't
to
know.
attach a trainer to your bicycle than just a tire. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
Like, fuck this riding outside thing. I'm gonna buy $1,000 trainer and just put that on my bike. Nature's overrated anyway.
I mean, MSRP is $1,200, but
Ugh. All right. Anyway,
Is it unethical to like look up bike trails in like, let's say war zones?
what?
I
would
don't
that
think I don't
be
know I don't know if it's
unethical?
unethical, but I'm pretty sure it does put you on yet another list. So I'd be careful. If you're like, yes, if you're like best route to Russian army base in Crimea, maybe don't Google that.
It just got demonetized again.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of want to ask a question, but I kind of don't. Are you saying like you want to virtually ride through a war zone?
No. Just to
Do you
use
wanna-
a
okay, do
track
you
that
wanna
exists in the
realistically-
zone that's like now damaged would be sort of like unethical, actually, if you ask me. Let's say there's a pre-recorded track from 10 years ago, on like the mountains of the Ukraine or like whatever, or through the city center.
I don't think it's. I mean, if it's,
Do you think using it is unethical? That's an interesting question. I'm actually kind of curious
I'm thinking about it. I don't
what
know.
ethical philosophers would think about
I
that.
don't. I don't think it's unethical. I mean, that's kind of like saying, okay, well, what if you want to ride through the streets of Warsaw, Poland? Like terrible things happened there a few decades ago, but you can
Yeah.
still ride through. I don't know. I don't think that it's unethical. It exists within your riding app. You're not.
I mean,
It's open-ended.
You're not doing anything
question.
wrong.
Yeah.
I've gone through, I've done bike routes in Vietnam. I mean, I don't know, does that count? There some gorgeous scenery over there. But
Did you do that just so you can
But that's more
you can bring
recent.
it up in conversations, be like,
I mean, that's
"Nah,
decades
man,
later.
ever since Nam, I can't feel my leg ever since Nam. Oh, were you in the war? No, I just rode a virtual
my
ride
bike.
through it.
And my leg got
and now
numb
my
because
leg-
it
and
got
now my leg is
pinched. My ass was
cramping."
pinched.
I can't get out of these
That-
jorts.
Damn bike seat.
Anyway, so yeah, I don't think it's unethical. I mean, people do
But
things.
you-
I mean, people think. Look, I was going to say, people realistically travel to see like Chernobyl, like that. There's like a tour of Chernobyl you can do in real life.
Right.
You know,
For historical reasons.
yeah. If anything, I mean, like if modern technology allows us to explore parts of the world that we weren't able to see before, it actually would be interesting to say, hey, like, what does this part of Ukraine look like? Like, I'm not
It'll
familiar
never,
with the
it won't
country.
look like this ever again. It's been,
Yeah.
terraformed.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, you're not doing it for any sort of malicious or mocking purposes. You're just kind
Right.
of running through it just to see what it is. So, I mean, the real answer to your question is I don't know, but I don't
Yeah.
think it's unethical.
No, I thought it was an interesting thing to sort of work out at like the ethics of, but
Yeah,
I think I'm on the side of the fence where it's not insulting anyone.
yeah. I don't.
I
I can't
can't
imagine.
imagine.
I can't imagine anybody from Ukraine being offended by it.
If anything,
But I
it's
also can't
a
speak
permanent
for.
historical record of something, that no
Yeah,
longer exists for dramatic reasons. So it's actually sort of like good to have the memory of it.
yeah. You go to museums and look at places
Mhm,
before they were ravaged by war and disease and other things, and
mhm.
you can walk through what that part of the world was like before.
Yeah,
Seems like it's the same thing. I mean, some people could say like, it's a little insensitive now because the war is ongoing, but I don't. Again, you're not doing anything that's really disrespectful to it. That people, especially if
right.
you're doing the privacy of your own home. You're not even like broadcasting like here. Hey guys, look at me. I'm taking a bike ride through Ukraine. Look how beautiful it was. I bet it looks different now. You're just riding
That's
through. You're just doing a
obviously
bike ride
pretty shitty.
on your privacy. Yeah, no one would ever know it if you didn't mention it on this podcast, Kevin.
So no one will ever know it.
Ex- That's there you go.
Also, I haven't had that trainer set up ever since I started walking or light hiking.
Well, there you go. So you're not even doing it. The thing you're afraid of doing, you're not even doing.
No, it was an existential
Thanks
question.
for wasting my goddamn time, Kevin. This was a
I got you thinking.
hypothetical. Hey, that is a good point. Oh, speaking of thinking, I did a reading. I did a book. I'm
Did
doing a
you
book.
Hail Mary?
I started reading Hail Mary. I'm only very early in the beginning. Very early in the beginning. Great. Good talking me do. I am in the early parts of the book. I'm only a couple of chapters in, and you know what? It's funny. I legitimately missed how what's his name? Martin Weir? Is that his name?
Yeah, Andy Weir.
Andy Weir. I'm sorry, not Martin Weir. The way Andy Weir writes is so entertaining. Like I can't really explain it because I don't have his gift of gab, but like just reading it, any sort of common plain to do scene that he writes in his books, the tempo, the wording, the humor in it is just so entertaining to read. He's
Mhm.
such a good writer.
Yeah,
Like that scene where he's just talking about the guy, climbing through the like I'm assuming you guys have both read the book
Yes.
Project Hail Mary, right?
yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, I didn't realize it's called Project Hail Mary. I actually always thought it was just called Hail Mary. But anyway,
Mhm.
like in the beginning where he's just going around like figuring out who he is and like climbing through the white rooms and with the robot arms and everything. That whole part is so well done. Like the way he's basically just combating his own body and his brain,
Yeah.
like like all these things. Like he's like, I know that Livia uses the metric system, but I can't remember my name. Fuck you, brain. Like it's
Dude,
like
he's
everything
gonna
about it is
go through the full spectrum of comedy or like, comedic relief and um uh emotional drama. That
yeah.
this one was more than The Martian.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's exactly what he did in the Martian as well. Like on one hand, this man is trapped in a dire situation alone on a faraway planet. Meanwhile, there are parts of the Martian that are completely hilarious. Well, he's basically working things out and just basically arguing with himself and his own limitations and understanding of things. And same thing here. It's
I actually never read that book. I should read it. Oh no, that's not
The
true. I
Martian.
did. Oh, I did
Oh,
read
The
the book.
Martian's fantastic. Yeah, I think you did. I think we talked about
I
that. But
read
anyway, yeah.
the Moon one too, Artemis.
Wait, is that him too?
Mhm.
Oh shit, he's got another book I gotta read.
Yeah, that
Actually, I
was the
shouldn't be.
second one actually. But not Project Hail Mary's by far the best one.
Oh, I'm really glad to hear that because I love The Martian.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like,
too.
I'm not even gonna give it the caveat of my opinion. I think it's widely believed.
Really? So hold on.
Agreed
So how
upon.
does it? Which order did he write? So did he write The Martian, then Artemis, and then Project Hail Mary?
Yes,
Yes.
but they have nothing to do with each
Oh,
other. So
right.
you could read them in any order.
Well, so
Right.
is Art, but you said that Project Hail Mary is the best one. So do I want to go back and then read Artemis if it's not as
They're
good?
all
Yeah,
sort of
yeah, they're all
similar, where it's crisis management of like a singular person or hero.
Okay.
Artemis had a lot of characters, so it wasn't like a loner situation. And I won't talk about Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, don't. Right now, I'm deeply enjoying it. It's one of those books that I read before I go to bed, and it's very hard to put down.
Love that book.
yeah.
Yeah,
They're all good books. I really enjoyed Artemis.
yeah, he's an excellent writer. Does he have
So did I.
another one coming out anytime soon?
I'm sure he's working on something, but I don't know if he has anything that's coming out soon.
No.
Hopefully, the writers thing does solve itself, because supposedly Project Hail Mary is supposed to have a movie situation.
Oh, see that I don't care about. I thought the Martian movie was absolute garbage, so I don't really care. I don't think I haven't read Project Hail Mary, so I don't know. I don't know how that would turn out, but I remember when I was reading The Martian, thinking like, how the fuck would this ever work as a movie? And it didn't. It didn't work at all. It was terrible.
I
They
didn't
cut
like
out two-thirds. They cut out 2/3 of the book and changed the ending and just made it about Matt Damon in space, and for like 90 minutes. I thought it was absolutely terrible. But that's just my opinion. But I'm sorry, I completely derailed. We're actually talking also about shows. Um, I finished What We Do in the Shadows. I finally watched season 5. And Kevin, I remember you mentioned that you wanted me to tell you when I did that because you wanted to say something about the ending of it. So before we
Yeah,
get to
I
the
thought it
ending,
was a cop out that they basically undid the whole like coolness of Guillermo.
in a
Like, the whole
very
season is about Guillermo, and
yeah,
then they just reversed
yeah,
the whole fucking thing like it was a dream.
in a very rare circumstance, I completely agree with you. I thought the ending was exactly as you said, a complete fucking cop out. I thought it made no sense, and they just once again just had no idea where to go with something they made, and just completely just cupped that. Just kind of like the way season 4 started, where season 3 set up some interesting things with like, what's her name? My God,
Kirsten
what
Shaw, or I forget what her character's name is.
the female vampire?
Yeah, the
Oh my
director
God.
from that like place that burned down or whatever, now she became part of the crew.
No, 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 no. I'm not talking about the guide. The one of the main character, the one who's one of the main three. I'm just blanking on her name because I'm an idiot.
Wait,
Uh,
So
the female vampire, for love of God,
fucking A.
Nadia,
Wait,
Nadia,
Nadja.
Nadja.
Nadia. Maybe the
I
whole thing of
can't.
like Nadia
I
was going
totally.
abroad.
I didn't picture
Yeah,
you were talking about her. I
yeah.
thought you were talking about the other one.
Nadia was going abroad to like work with the vampire council. Um, Nandor was like on a trip to find himself or whatever. Guillermo was in a suitcase, also headed to London. They had little baby Colin and Laszlo were apparently like taking care of him. And then season 4 just fucked all of that,
Yeah.
undid half of it. They just showed up and were just like, "Oh, that was a great trip." Well, nothing more to say about that. And then season 5 did the reverse, where they actually like they spent kind of like the entire season working on that theme, and then at the very end, it didn't even make any sense. He's even like, okay, at the end when Guillermo's even talking about like murder and everything, he even says he's like, oh well, I've helped them hide body, like I've killed vampires and I've brought people to be slaughtered and then cleaned up and like
Very dumb.
I
Yeah.
like I cleaned up and buried their bodies, but now I can't kill. Like that was it felt very much like they had absolutely no idea what to do at the end of the season. That was really bad. I thought that was a horrible ending to the season.
I thought they could have made it. You know, they could have embellished an entire new other series with a new dynamic, and that like dynamic tension where Nandor and Guillermo are like now rivals, because Guillermo can surprisingly take care of himself, even though Nando's supposed to be like, a really powerful vampire, blah, blah, blah. They
Yeah,
could have just embellished an entire freaking series on that shit.
yeah. I
I
thought they were going in
can't
that
imagine them
direction.
doing a spin-off on that.
No, not a spin-off, but like a sort of a change of dynamic of power in the show because remember when they do the thing when Nandor figures out that Guillermo needs to drink human blood in order to like finish his transformation. And then once he does that, he like floats up in the sky and says like, "Behold what I have become." And I'm like, "Oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome." Instead of being the spineless little like guy that everyone like pushes him around and abuses him, he's not gonna go on a complete fucking power trip and he's gonna become a completely different character. This is such an awesome area they're gonna explore. And then within 10 seconds, they completely undo that, and he's just a whiny
It was
pansy.
it was totally like
Yeah.
what is it, a MacGuffin? Just a fucking
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
simple answer to fix everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that, but I mean, also like who knows where they're going or where they plan on going with it.
Well, they
They
undid him
might
being
have.
a vampire. That was such an interesting direction and change for the show that they, I guess, didn't know what to do with.
Yeah, I mean they had a
Yeah.
season with werewolves and it just did its thing, and now there could have been like a whole season of the Van Helsings versus the vampires, and like everyone. Yeah, by the end of that one, they could have reversed it, but they could have embellished at least another season. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there could have been a return to human if they really wanted it, but they just did it so fast and like pointless. Like they didn't use it.
I think the show, honestly, if the show ended exactly at that point that I mentioned, where he like floats in the air and says like, "Witness what I've become," blah blah blah.
Yeah, what a
And he's like
cliffhanger.
this. What if he becomes this powerful vampire and then it just ends? I'll be like,
Yeah,
dude,
that would have been
fucking awesome.
fantastic.
I
They
cannot
missed
wait for the
golden
next season.
opportunity. Yes.
Instead, they just like, no, never mind. We're undoing everything we did for 10 episodes. That's it. Everything is exactly where it started, and it's like,
But you get my
what
point.
the
Even if like the
fuck?
directive, the character development direction was ultimately not to ever achieve the goal, that kind of ending would have been awesome. And then a whole sort of like the werewolf season, it could have been the Van Helsing season with all kinds of shenanigans, and then everyone's just hurt and they're like, can't we just be friends? And then like what's his face gets killed in the crossfire, and then that's how he becomes human.
Yeah,
Meaning
maybe. Yeah,
the vampire that had to die
yeah.
for
The
him to
last
turn
two,
back. Yeah.
yeah, the last two episodes in general felt very much like filler, which I was surprised because episode was it the last two or three? I forget. So the episode I mentioned that the hybrid creatures was incredible. That was like one of the best fucking episodes ever.
Oh yeah.
I was I rewatched that episode 3 times at this point, and every time just like I can't even I can't. Like it's just
And
every
Laszlo in
moment of
his
that
like
show.
trance mode, that was hilarious. I fucking love that.
Yeah, Laszlo was
Just come up
incredible.
with a phrase, and every time people are like putting too much attention on you, just get up and say the phrase and go into like a closet or some shit.
Oh,
That's like good marital advice.
yeah, like
Kevin's
that
gonna
whole
start doing that on
Yeah.
a regular basis.
I just thought it was hilarious.
It's
that
just
he
funny.
would-
It's
he
one
would-
of those
He would
memes.
get dressed up in a fancy outfit to go jerk off in a shed. Like that was that's the most like this is like what are you
It's like
doing
he's
out there
going on a
doing?
date.
Out there
Yeah.
having a wank. Good point, Gizmo.
But it's like carry on. Like yeah, the thing with the animal. Oh god, that was so great. Like the fish. Daddy, what's a wank? It was just the entire episode was just from beginning to end was absolutely amazing. But and then it was followed by what I thought was one of the worst episodes actually, which was the roast. I thought that was pointless and kind of boring because again they brought up the whole thing where the count finds out that it was Guillermo that killed him originally.
Betrayed, yeah.
And they set that whole up, and then that goes nowhere. And then the next episode is where they have the thing with the guide where she captures them all, and she's angry at them, and because they don't respect her and don't include her, and then that goes nowhere. And then the thing with Guillermo happens, and it's like, so it was 3 episodes, like 3 episodes in a row, just like what is happening? Like this is going.
They were like
nowhere.
mini fluff. It was like subtle character developments. I thought it was definitely a comedic thing where the old vampire gets like, brought into the story and then he gets fried again. Like that was fine.
Yeah, but it just felt like usually you have filler episodes in the middle of the season. It felt like they stuffed 3 filler episodes at the end of the season, and instead used them to undo a couple of interesting plot points that they set up previously. I
Well,
don't know.
maybe, right when the writer's strike was happening, they were like, "Oh shit, we better run this through
Get the C
ChatGPT
crew.
and get the final 3 episodes,
C is for computer.
so we could put this out before the strike really hits."
I don't know. If that's the thing, they totally could have ended it on a cliffhanger without explaining anything. I think they did.
Yeah, they totally
I will
should.
say, I will say I will say this: the Patton Oswalt thing was fucking funny.
Oh, like, yeah.
This is, I mean, it was ironically just thinking. I was like, you know what's weird? Patton Oswalt is like in everything. Why hasn't he been in this show? And then he pretty much shows up.
And then you're
Is that the
like,
neighbor,
"Oh,
the human
he's gonna
neighbor
die.
guy?
Yeah.
He's gonna
Patton
die.
Patton
He's gonna
Oswalt? No.
die." And then
Which
you're
guy's? Who is that?
Patton Oswalt. He was in the
Yeah.
last episode. He was the one who talked, who Nandor
Yeah.
threw off a roof.
I can't fucking remember. I'm just
When
drawing a
he's
blank.
waiting, when he's waiting in a Panera
yeah.
to ambush Guillermo, he thinks he has him, and he swoops down and grabs what he thinks is Guillermo, and it's Patton Oswalt. And he holds. How do you not remember this?
Yeah. And
Oh,
Patton
it was the
Oswalt,
cameo.
man.
That guy.
Yeah,
I
Patton
know who
Oswalt.
you're talking about. I know what you mean now.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. He's like, maybe you can, he's like, maybe you can fix your friendship. He just like kicks him off the roof, and it just goes, not a bad idea though. He's like, why'd you change your mind? Well, I recently lost a friend, Patton Oswalt, and I didn't like how that felt. I will say this: despite everything, the acting and delivery of lines in that movie still is like unparalleled.
Yeah.
Every character in that show is amazing. Everything.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I've never seen a show perfectly cast like
how
this in
far
my
they
life.
go for the bit of like, someone stuck in their ways because they're 1,000 years old. That kind of shit is hilarious.
Yeah,
like
all through.
Laszlo and Nadia is fucking
Nandor,
hilarious. The way she goes about, her
the way
shit.
she's trying to pronounce the word curler when she's trying to teach her, when she's trying to get her to go to Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
She's like, yeah, that's fine. That whole thing, like, oh, I didn't tell you my full name. It's Helen the Magic Johnson. My God, it's just such a brilliant show. This is why this is the thing. Like when they stumble and they do something like the way that season ends, it stands out even more so because the rest of the show is so brilliant. When it falters, it's very, very noticeable.
Another funny thing, which was a highlight, was Nandor getting interviewed at various points on TV. It was just hilarious. I'm like, holy shit. I was wondering if they were going to embellish on that and like, investigators show up. There's 3 investigators have, tried to find this person and have gone missing, or like it could have just been a little Easter egg thing. Up next, 3 investigators, gone missing in the neighborhood of whatever. That would have been hilarious. Another missed.
Yeah, that
angle.
was. But still, that, what was it called? Live News or News something? I forget.
Yeah,
that episode was so great too. I think that was right before the Creatures one. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see. I don't know. I think this might have been the final season. We'll see if it gets renewed. I hope it does. I hope the show goes for a very long time. But I know their ratings aren't that great, and they're worse every season. So we'll see.
It felt like they were ready for that last season, like you said. How they completely, like, everyone went their own way, and then you're like, oh, that's it. And then they're like, oh, we're back.
Who's producing it?
I don't know. It's Taika Waititi's thing, so
I think he directs it with one other person. It's
he doesn't direct
it or written or create. Yeah,
they stopped. He's just producing at this point.
But the producers are the ones that make or break it, right? Because that's who's going to financially back it.
Well, the network decides whether it's worth keeping it on. So if the network doesn't renew it, then it's on Hulu. So
I guess what I'm getting at is the producer has the political clout, right?
I'm not sure about how that works with streaming. I assume, again, because it's Hulu, the executives at Hulu make that decision.
Yeah.
And what streaming is like Netflix.
I'm not denying that. Yeah.
Shows that are not only good but actually do pretty well. So we don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. I was actually surprised it was renewed for season 5, so we'll
Yeah.
see. I don't know.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly all I got as far as shows is concerned. I mean, yeah, we already covered like the actor strike, which is hopefully coming to an end. Um, I yeah, I really haven't had a chance to watch too much stuff lately. I've been actually more focused on well, A, being sick, and B, gaming. So if you guys want to take like a quick break and refill, we can come back and talk about Mike's fun time with video games.
Sure.
That's not the official title of the segment. That's just what I said.
Right back.
So I got to try a few games. Actually, before I get into that, I finally pulled the trigger and got a Steam Deck. Actually, you know what? No, I'll talk about the Steam Deck afterwards. So I got to try a few games. These are the ones I think I guess are worth noting, whether I enjoyed them or not. There's a few more on the list that I never are not even worth talking about. So if you have Solar Ash, I'm sorry, not Solar Ash. Solar Ash is the game that I tried that I think it's from the same people who did you know what? I don't even know why I'm bothering trying to remember names of anything. But anyways, Solar Ash, I think my brain wasn't working when I was trying to play that game. It's from the same people I think who made Hyper Light Drifter, which was really awesome. And Solar Ash is a very stylized and very cool looking game. But yeah, I think my brain was just not clicking that night. And I got 10 minutes into the game and was completely stuck and couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. I got frustrated, I got angry, and I just uninstalled it. But I think I should go back and revisit it at some point because my own stupidity should not keep me from enjoying something that's supposed to be a pretty good game. Anyway, that was my little rant. So a couple of games joined Game Pass that I got to try, and one of them happened to be Lies of P. So Lies of P, if you want to play the trailer, basically it's a Souls-like. It's borrows very heavily from Souls-like games, specifically in this case from it's very heavily influenced by Bloodborne. You can play the trailer, by the way, if you want to get an idea of what the game looks like.
Yeah. So I don't know if we're gonna get the audio.
So basically the game plays like Bloodborne, looks like Bloodborne. It's supposed to be sort of like an alternate story of it's a Pinocchio. Like you play that character you're playing is Pinocchio. And
Oh, really?
from what I can gather, I didn't really get too far in the game, but from what I gather, the point of the story is that all these puppets that just run amok. It's got like a Westworld scenario where, yeah, all these puppets are pretty much like taken over and killed people, and they're taken over this area, and you're basically awoken to fight them and restore order. Stop them.
Your imagination.
So you're directed by Geppetto, and you got
To protect
what's his name? Jiminy's in it, and it's like everything's like very stylized and
Be careful, clever one.
I think the
makes sense in
nature is actually pretty good.
Are you a puppet also? Is this like you're a Blade
You're
Runner?
Pinocchio. You are Pinocchio.
Oh,
and
you
there
are
is-
Pinocchio.
And there is like a truth and lie mechanic in the game that actually does become important. Everything else about it is, if you've played a Dark Souls game, it's a Dark Souls game. To the point where Jesus, like there's characters who have the same names as some of the bosses in Dark Souls. There is this
Oh, really?
sound effects, a lot of the stuff, yeah, is very heavily derivative from there. But here's the weird thing, this game is being really well reviewed, and the people that have been playing it are hyping it up and saying how it's really great. I actually thought it was fairly disappointing, in a sense where it feels like one of those games where they took a lot of. It's not that they blatantly copied a lot of the things from Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but they kind of missed what made those games great. It like on paper, this game looks and sounds really awesome, but as you're playing it, I didn't get any of the same sense or any of the same enjoyment that I get out of the Souls games. It felt actually, if anything, a lot more hollow and like just a very unsuccessful copy of the games that it was trying to be. So when you're playing Dark Souls and Bloodborne, there's, for example, an element of horror to these games. This game sort of wants to be a horror game, but personally to me, watching all these like weird puppets walk around and do weird, goofy things wasn't scary to me. It felt silly. It felt kind of like almost like there should be like a circus theme playing for most of the game. Like I couldn't take this game
I
seriously
mean, a lot
based
of
on
people think of that as scary, so that maybe that's just the
Yeah,
genre it's
so
trying to, or the
right. So
demographic.
just it could just be me. The movement of everything is very mechanical and sort of jittery, but
Well,
it all
is it supposed
right,
to be? Your puppets, so
right. So that was my thing. I can't tell whether they planned it to be this way or they just were programming this game and couldn't get the movement to be smooth. And they're like, all right, how do we make it, like, oh, this movement feels very mechanical. And somebody was just like, oh, why don't we make it, on purpose? It doesn't feel good though. It doesn't play well. Like I don't enjoy moving and interacting in this world. The other thing is that I think the difficulty spikes in the Souls games kind of makes sense. Here, they're really uneven, where you can run around for a very long time feeling completely invincible and overpowered, and then all of a sudden you just run into this boss that just completely like destroys you in 2 hits. You're not like properly prepared for the scenes, for the things that you're encountering, and
but I
that does.
thought that's didn't you say that's what Souls games were like, or Elden Ring? Like, oh my God,
Do you live in
I'm
Westchester?
totally getting house here, so I have to go off and do something else for
So this
first.
is not an open world game though. This is a
Oh,
linear
okay.
game where you're running around for, like I said, for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just destroying everything around you, and all of a sudden something
Gotcha.
just goes thwack and you're dead. And you're like, well, okay, like yes, I guess they thought that's what makes a Dark Souls game a Dark Souls game. So that's kind of where they kind of went, the direction of this game. There's also like if you've invested enough time in Dark Souls games, there's this sort of feeling when you're playing them, and part of it is the horror element, is it's like this, there's like a loneliness, this like distraught desperation to those games, where when you see those, whether it's the um uh, I forget, Kevin help me, what are they called in Elden Ring? The save points, the soul things,
I don't.
the sites of grace.
Oh yeah.
Whether it's a sites of grace or whether you see the bonfires in Dark Souls, you're so relieved to find those things because it's like these little tiny safe havens in what is otherwise a completely brutal and unforgiving dark world. And here you don't have any of that. You're just like, oh, some of these sections are a little hard, la 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 la, like running around, beating the fuck out of everything. There's some enemies that are harder, some enemies that are easier. You don't really feel this sort of like um if fear as you're going through the game where like everything's going horribly wrong and things could get a whole lot worse any second. I need to find like a safe spot. I need to get to where I'm going. I just, please God, let me get to the next bonfire for Jesus Christ. You just don't have that here. You're just playing this linear game and you're like, oh, it's a pretty world. Oh, that thing is cool. The other thing is that one of the signature things about Dark Soul games is that when you run up against enemies that are really difficult, you have to kind of figure them out. You have to study them, and you'll die like a bunch of times, but you study their patterns, you study their attacks, and you, at that point, become um, accustomed to what they're going to do, and you can counter with your own attacks, blocks, dodges, whatever it happens to be. In this game, the attacks of the enemies are so telegraphed and they're so obvious and slow that you figure out what they're going to do very quickly. So to make it more challenging, they just made some of them really tanky with huge health bars. So it's not
Oh,
really
so then it's
fun.
a slog.
Yeah, so fighting some of these boss, like there's this one where there's a gigantic puppet robot kind of thing where you can only really see like its bottom 2 legs, and it takes forever to wear this thing down, but it only has like 2 attacks. And as soon as you figure them out, it's like, okay, he does this thing, and I run a few feet away, and he smashes his arm down on the ground. I run back, and I hit him 10 times, and that does like almost no damage. And then you do that for like an hour. So
Yeah,
it's not fun.
that's
You don't
nice.
have yeah, and there's nothing you can really do in most cases. In Dark Souls, it feels like there's a way to really more meaningfully to set up your character and your weapons and everything else. So I don't know. Maybe it's just not for me. Maybe I'm missing something. People in general seem to be getting it pretty good reviews. I'm not very impressed by this game at all. I'm definitely not going to finish it, but hey, it's on Game Pass, so try it out and make your decisions. If you're itching for another Souls-like game, and if you want to try something that has kind of the feeling of Bloodborne, but not, in my opinion, not really. I think it completely missed the point of what made that game great. Try it. You got nothing to lose. The next thing I got to try is a game. This game definitely falls into the "it's really great but not for me" category. So it's Inscription. I don't know if you guys heard about this, Kevin. If you got the trailer for that, you can.
Yeah, I saw a quick thing on it.
Inscription is interesting. It's very creative. This one is hard to explain. It is a roguelite in the same sense that like something like Slay the Spire is, except instead of fighting like some kind of varied enemies, you're basically, how to explain this? You're fighting every card battle you do is pretty much against the same enemy. You're fighting some weird dark force, some villain, some evil devil trapped.
It's like a curse entity, it's some kind of narrated.
Right, and you're basically playing these animal cards against each other every time you play, and these animals have different powers, and some of the animals you can only play if you sacrifice lesser animals because they need like blood to be activated, and the cards can talk, so the cards will like react, like cards would, like if you kill them, they get mad at you.
I think it's a pretty fantastic unique game. It didn't hold my attention.
That's the thing. So that was wait, I don't know. That's like so. From time to time, the person you're playing against will give you little tasks to do around this cabin that you're in. So pretend. If I had to explain this game, pretend you're sitting at a table with an opponent. So you're not physically actually going anywhere. You're playing this card/board game against this person. So you're moving like this along a path, but you're not actually on this path. You're moving your little avatar, on this game board path. And then every time you reach a location, like in any of these roguelites, you're part of an event, whether it's this card battle against this entity, or it's a chance to to power up your cards, to get new cards. And you basically grow your deck. You can sacrifice cards to get stronger ones. You can pick up new ones. You can discard them, blah, blah, blah. You get other things like the way a match is decided, for example, is there's a scale on the side. And every time you do a certain amount of hits against, this being, a few little gold nuggets go in the scale and his scale tips, against him. And then when he does damage, then you put a little nuggets, a few nuggets on your side and the scale balances out and it goes back and forth until somebody, knocks the scale basically all the way down. But there's like a tool you can get, for example, that'll let you like pull your teeth out and you can use those instead of the nuggets to like,
oh God.
Yeah. No, some really dark, fucking disturbing things you can do. I mean, you're literally like these cards like beg you not to murder them, like as you're like sacrificing them.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
It's a little creepy.
It's amazing. I really don't think it's something that I would keep playing. But if you I'll put it this way. It is definitely a game you should try. We all know that like Steam has return windows, and half an hour or whatever, an hour, 2 hours to try it. Try it. I really, really recommend you try it. Or wait till it's on sale, buy it for a few bucks and just keep it. But it just because it's not something I'm gonna stick with doesn't mean that it's not something that has I totally like I get it now. People have been praising this game for quite a while and saying it's one of the best games ever made, and I totally get it. It's very creative. I've never played anything like it. And I think if I did have the chance to stick with it, as you're going, you're finding out like more things and finding more powers. Like the person you're playing with, I think what happens is like you come across certain markers on maps, and he has these masks that he slaps on that he plays different characters. Like one of the battles you do against him is him dressed up as the prospector. like, and that gives him like certain powers that a prospector would have, like dynamites and all this other kind of crap. that he
Extra
can do.
gold or something.
Yeah, like there's other things that he can pull. Like he constantly cheats, for example, and you have to kind of outwit him. You just don't know to what end until you get further in the game. So basically, essentially, like you're playing a game against the devil, and you're basically playing for your life and for your soul, and you're trying to outwit him along the way.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. The final thing that I tried was, if you want to fire that one up, Kevin, is a game called Chance of Sonar. This one is, again, maybe a little bit hard to explain. But first of all, it's a really beautiful game. It's really simple. It has like Mobius style art, kind of like what Sable look like.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's basically a puzzle game where, so you're someone in this unknown land. I think you wake up and you don't understand the language, and the entire game is you basically trying to figure out their language and solve the mystery of what is going on in this place. Like there's some kind of weird, like religious and military war going on. So you go from location to location, and based on context clues, you figure out what each of those symbols mean. So
The whole game is about deciphering the language.
yes, there's also simple puzzles, but the puzzles are kind of just there. If anything, the puzzles are there to kind of help you figure out what the symbols might mean. And the way that works, for example, is you might come across a character and you're separated from them by, let's say, a few channels of water, and they will try to tell you what they want you to do in order to get across those channels. So they'll point to something, and you'll see like a bunch of symbols pop up, and you'll figure out that what they're trying to tell you is to walk over to a lever and pull it so that you like redirect the water. So once you figure that out, you're like, oh, okay. So one of those symbols must mean lever. One of those symbols must mean water, for example.
Oh yeah.
And you have a notebook, and when you click on each symbol, you can make a little note what you think the word means. So you'll be like, this symbol I think means door, or like this one means lever, this one means hello. And then when you finish each section of the game, sort of like these mini
I hope
chapters,
it does it in the game. Yeah.
right, the book flips over to a different part where there's illustrations of all of these things that you just came across, and then you highlight what you think each symbol actually represents based on the notes you made. And if you got them right, sort of like you've solved that puzzle.
Oh, it'll quasi translate the world for you.
Yes, they unlock. So as you're unlocking more words, when characters start talking to you, instead of some of the symbols begin to be replaced with words.
That's
so
cool.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. It's really great. It's another one of those things that I don't have time to play right now, but I definitely want to get back to. The only thing I would say is I think that might be getting in a way of its own success is I think it's a $20 game, which I know is going to put some people off. I'm not saying it's not worth $20. I'm just saying people look at indie games, especially one where there's no there's no combat, or there's no RPG elements, or there's no roguelike or whatever, and go $20. I don't know, maybe. But I would say this game is, again, one of those things definitely worth a try. They have a free demo. If nothing else, do yourself a favor and try the free demo. It's one of those things that I could see becoming incredibly addictive. It's, again, really well done, beautiful game. The sound is beautiful, the artwork's beautiful, the atmosphere is really great. There's no, it's a very chill game. There's no pressure. Apparently there's some areas where you can die in this game, or you can fail a mission or whatever, and you restart it. But for the most part, the game is heavily focused on just deciphering these symbols and this language. You'll come across
Some people like that.
And no, it's great. It's really great, and it's paced perfectly. There's never a time where someone's trying to talk to you and you're like, oh God, I have to figure out what they do, or die, or there's gonna be a rock slide, it'll crush me. You can go back and forth between areas, and you can sit there and go, oh, okay, I thought that meant temple, but that doesn't make sense because I found this piece of artwork on the side of this building, and this symbol wouldn't make sense, in that context over there. So this means something else.
Market or something.
Yeah, and it's a really rewarding game. At some point, I figured out that one of these symbols differentiated between the caste system in this town. So like you had the common man, and you had priests, and you had warriors, and then you had a symbol for God, and what their relationship between those groups are in this world. And like they're at war, there's a conflict, the soldiers are like oppressing the people, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's like you really want to find out what's going on in this world. And as you're learning it, like there's a very good um there's a very good feeling every time you get by a section and figure out exactly like what they were trying to tell you about
Is there
the
any,
surroundings.
are you sort of interacting with the world as if you're a citizen, or you're a stranger, and they're
You're a
just
stranger.
talking? But do they
You're a
have
stranger.
conversations with you?
They do, and the thing is, those conversations get more involved. So in the beginning, where you're just figuring out the mechanics of the game and some of the symbols, as I said, somebody will just be on another part of the city from you, and they'll just be pointing to something, and you'll see like three symbols, and they're pointing you towards like a lever, and that's how you figure out, okay, that means like you go pull lever. You know what I mean? Once you sort that out, the conversations become way more involved, and there's like a whole paragraph that they tell you. But at that
But
point,
basically,
a lot of the work's figured out.
my point is, like, you see a bunch of NPCs frozen in like a conversation prompt, and until you figure it out, you can't talk to them. Is that like, or is it
No, you can. No, it's
live
live. No,
action
you'll go
stuff?
up to them. No, it's live. You'll go up to them and they'll say a bunch of stuff to you. And if you don't know what they're talking about, you just walk right past them and go to the next thing. And you just keep walking around. Very often, you will have to come back to people that you run into, or um, uh, other elements and puzzles that you've kind of walked right by
I'm
because
trying
you
to
didn't have the
understand
next thing
if,
up.
like, let's say you talk to somebody, it's blah 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 blah, and then like you
Okay.
leave. Contextually, coming back to them later, it's like, I already told you where the directions to the bathroom are. Like, what the fuck are you asking
Oh,
again? You know what I mean? There's no
no.
circumstantial awareness for the NPCs.
No,
It's
no,
just
no.
they're
They
always
pretty much have.
prompted. Yeah.
Yes, they're prompted to pretty
Typical
much tell
game
you the
where you
same
go
thing.
back to them and it's the same conversation
Well,
waiting for you to engage in them.
yes, yeah. It's not. Yes, they're. Now, some of them will their conversation will change as you progress the story.
Sure,
Like
sure.
there's this girl that wants to play hide and seek with you, and you actually figure out quite a few words from her. And then once you find her a few times and you figure out what she's trying to tell you about playing hide and seek, she'll show you how to sneak by some guards. So she'll take you to a different part of the map,
Mhm.
and then she'll start giving you different symbols, explaining to you how you have to like pick up a rock and throw a rock to make a noise to distract the guard, and then
Right.
crawl, like stuff like that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Very, very cool. And then besides that, I just obviously spent a whole bunch of time playing Starfield. God, I love that game.
It's pretty cool. I made a mistake. You know how they ask you to, at some point, like, the activities happen, and when you're on that first world, the very first, almost like, tutorial mission, whatever. Not the before you leave, but when you go to the lab. So right
You mean
around
the
the lab,
city, Atlantis?
no, not quite the
Atlantis.
city. It's the before the city. So like you're on that, you go,
Oh, the pirates, where the pirates are.
yeah. So you go to the pirate lab, and then when you're done with it, an activity shows up to like create the base. Now, I had no idea what they were getting at, so I placed one of those beacons. I'm like, oh fuck, it's right. I actually did it near the tower where the fucking monster is. So like, can you pick those things back up,
I don't know.
or
I
is it
actually haven't done that
permanent?
yet.
Oh
I don't
fuck.
know. Honestly to God don't know. That's one of the things I love about this game. Every time you talk to anybody, you'll be like, "Hey, did you do this?" And they're like, "No, I had no idea." I'm completely on the other side of the galaxy doing completely different shit.
And then went past that. I did go to Atlantis, and I was doing a bunch of RPG, just
Did you get to
running around
Earth
the
yet?
fucking city. No.
Okay,
Oh,
then I
wait a
won't.
Didn't we?
I think I just left and went to
Yeah.
Venus.
That okay. No, did you go to the planet Earth?
No, but I'm in
Oh,
the solar
okay.
system, and I think, Jerry, wasn't it Venus was the first one? And I think I stopped after I flew there, right?
Yeah, I kind of remember going to. I remember seeing Earth, but I don't remember.
You'll know when you get there.
Yeah.
There's some interesting stuff that goes on there. And it was actually interesting because when I watched part of your stream, I completely from a completely different perspective, I ran into that woman. remember that part of the story where you're playing where you went to her to accuse her of like stealing, like she's part of the trade authority, and you went to
Yeah.
accuse her of stealing power.
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't run into the people that like hate her or whatever. I ran into her as part of a different mission completely, and she's a snobby fucking bitch. Where she's kind of like, where you show up and she's like, you're like, hi, can you help me? And she's like, well, it depends why you're here. If you're here to accuse me of things, then you can fuck right off. But if you're in what, like, if you want to trade some items, I'm like, oh, it's that woman. It's that woman. I'm gonna run into her later
Yeah.
and tell her she's a piece of shit.
Did you see the whole sequence that I did?
I saw a part of it. I know that
Yeah.
you did some. You do a whole. I only saw like a part where like, yeah, they're like siphoning power or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, and it was basically go there to accuse her, but when you get the other person to do it, it's like they're the bad cop and you're the good cop. And then she's
Right.
like, "Hey, secretly give me this info instead, and I'll, now I'm friends with her, I think. So if
Oh
I want
god.
to freaking fly around doing trade missions, uh, she might hire me."
Did you find the derelict gigantic spaceship floating above the resort yet?
No, I don't even know where the resort
Yeah,
is.
see, that's what that's what. Oh god, I fucking love this game. Like no one is having the same is playing the same game in this. It's fucking incredible. Did you do? Okay, let me ask you this. Did you do? Okay, do you know
I
who the
didn't get past
Terramorphs
that.
are?
Yeah, I was fighting one and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's a huge fucking tank," and I barely got one bar down. Used like all 6 grenades and freaking, almost all of my
Oh,
machine gun
you
ammo.
you can't fight them at this point. But did you do the mission with the Terramorph where you go
No,
to?
no, no.
Oh, you didn't do. Oh, yeah.
I
There's a
randomly
really cool.
roamed. I went to the tower just because I was exploring.
You did the same
And
thing I did. You found the Terramorph on that first planet.
yeah, yes, on
Yeah,
the
that's what
first
I did.
planet. And what's funny is I didn't get attacked by him. I went all the way up the tower. I must not have like
Yeah.
walked over him. And then I'm like, uh-oh, the guard just died.
That's what
Because I
happened
was
to me. I
doing it
was
sneak
fighting a
mode.
guard. Yeah, I was fighting a guard, and all of a sudden the guard gets mauled down by this gigantic fucking thing, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" I didn't at that point. I didn't know what they were. This thing just came out of nowhere,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh well, I just got a machine gun. I'm gonna flatten this guy." And
Yeah.
I went through a full clip, and his health bar just went like, "Ding."
Barely.
I'm
Yeah.
like,
In fact, a
"Oh,"
lot of
I'm like,
zeros were popping up.
"Yeah, yeah,
But in my case, I did sneaky and went past the guard,
sneaky."
was up the steps, and then I'm like halfway up the steps, and I hear him like shooting and die. And I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh, fuck, where'd it go?" Because it like buries itself or whatever. So I ransacked the lab first, even used some
right.
of the crafting stations, and I'm like, "Okay, I better be careful. Something really bad happened." I'm like, "Oh, there it is." So I'm like on the top of the tower having high advantage, and I start lobbing grenades, and I'm like, "Oh, that's half a bar with 6 grenades."
Yeah, it's a
Anyway, I
pretty.
avoided it. Yeah. Poked around a little bit. I was like, "Oh, these are too hot to mine," like all those little gas geysers and shit.
Oh
Because I
yeah,
don't have a
there's
suit that
also
can deal with that shit or whatever.
they, they will also they will also hurt you real quick. You have to be
Yeah.
careful. But um yeah, no, I'm trying to remember like no, there's I don't want to spoil it. Um if you there's a mission where you can they have you deliver communication equipment to a colony that's gone quiet, and I don't want to say anything more without spoiling it, but it's Terramorph related, let's put it that way.
Yeah, it's
But
hostile territory now.
it's very it's like the horror like mission of the game.
Oh man.
Um yeah,
I'm
but it's
actually doing the main mission with the what are they called? The
the constellation
Illuminati,
people.
whatever. Yeah, Constellation. So I have her as my companion, and she's like, Don't do anything illegal." Like, fuck you. I should have did my illegal shit first. But I was just trying to progress. I was getting bored with the RPG runs, like little run over here, run over here, run over here, next waypoint, next waypoint. I did go up a couple levels just doing that. That was nice. At least it does that.
Yeah. No, it is the
Which actually is
fuck
really
man, what
cool. I enjoyed that. I
I
like the
wanted
little
to
sneak around and crack safes and hack computers and shit. I always end up doing that first.
oh we what's wrong I'm still not sure how I feel about the lockpick.
I think it's pretty cool. It's neat. Like I pre-plan all the picks and then I just click through them. And
Did
I
you
think
know that did you know that as you're turning them, the little icons turn? It took
yeah,
me like 4 or 5 tries until I figured out that as you're setting them up to solve that puzzle, the little lockpicks, like the little icons on
yeah,
the side, they
yeah,
turn so you can lock them all into place and then do that thing. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
it's
I
interesting.
basically figure out the whole thing and then just click through it. And I didn't get like I guess the auto once you have high enough skill, the auto what is it? Auto pick will be like a full circle and you can click that, but like my buttons aren't complete yet, so
Oh yeah,
I did everything manually.
I haven't got there yet.
Like I'm
Did you mess
still
around with
figuring out the game, you know.
Did you mess around with the ship builder at all?
No, I don't. I'm not in the
That
mood to do
gets
that shit.
completely insane.
I'm sure it can.
There's like thousands of not thousands, but there's like hundreds of parts you can buy. So there's different shipbuilders. There's different companies that build ships. So as you visit each one of them, you like gain access to inventory. So there's like a ton of different components, cosmetics,
Yeah.
all this kind of shit. You can paint them. This is like years of
I
my
mean,
life.
yeah,
And you could
right.
Game.
build them from scratch, right?
So that's the weird thing.
Did I see things where I thought I saw pictures of like the Millennium Falcon, the Enterprise?
They might have had to buy
So
a ship and then just modify it.
yeah, that's the one thing I don't understand. I don't think you can't just there's no place you can go and just say like I want to build from scratch. I think yeah, you have to take one and then take it apart and then buy parts or use the parts that come with it to construct it however you want.
Yeah.
But you can't really start from scratch, which is weird.
Yeah, I think in
I don't know if that's
Atlantis
done
there was like
intentionally.
8 ships you could choose from, and obviously we're not at the
Yeah.
money level to like buy ships. So, but I didn't see a thing for like, you know, you know, a frame or
Yeah, I don't yeah, no, you can't.
Millennium
I think
frame, for like dirt cheap, where you start building it like your garage car project.
yeah, but you can also, by the way, you don't have to start like if you want to build, let's say, a gigantic freighter, you don't have to start with a gigantic freighter. You go, like steal a really tiny little fighter, and then just build up on top of it whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I suppose you could just put cargo holds on the ship you get in the beginning.
You can. If you what you have to be careful is you have to upgrade things sort of in a thoughtful manner. If you attach too much of certain things, it'll tell you like your ship doesn't have enough power, doesn't have enough this, or doesn't
Yeah.
have that. It actually gives you little like warnings in that corner where it says like these things don't work together. Or this you have like 3 or 4 errors, for example, on your build that you need to fix. My mistake is I spent an hour building up a ship that was perfect. I loved it, and then I realized I wasn't watching my budget, and apparently you can't pay for $700,000 worth of upgrades when you only have $20,000.
Yeah.
So
That sucks.
You know.
Were you able to
Yeah.
save the ship?
nope.
And like, oh,
No.
really?
Well, what you do is you cancel. You say like complete, and it says like, well, you don't have money, man. And it's like you're like, okay, well then I want to exit the builder, and it's like, well, if you exit the builder, you lose it also.
That sucks. You should be able to like save a template or export it or something.
Yeah, blueprints.
Or I mean, you should just be better at what you do and just pay attention to that little number in the top right, which
But it's
by
still
way,
the
it turns-
beginning. Yeah.
It turns
Yeah.
red though. When you go over your budget, it turns red, and I'm literally watching. Go, oh, what does that red number mean? And then I realize, oh, it's the money that I don't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Why can't like the real world financial system work in the same way? When I try to buy something where my bank is like, no, put that back. You can't afford that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but still, I mean, even if you stopped when you were doing that, you could have been 80% of the way, 90% of the way through a build, and then you're like, shit, I can't finish the ship as it is.
Well, you just
And-
delete the parts that you can't afford, and then you just back out of. You just say save it as is, and then you come back later and add more stuff. Meanwhile, you just can't fly it around. I guess
Yeah, I guess.
it's just sort of sitting there in the
You have
beta
to
the whole
pay
time.
like docking fees or something.
No. there's
Oh,
no
I guess you're
docking
part of
fees.
Constellation.
No, the only thing you have to do is you have to pay money to register your ships, and that's it. But otherwise, there's no cost. But Jerry, what can we do to get you to play this stupid game?
Nothing. I don't know. I just it's not jumping out at me, and I get to play it vicariously through you.
Yeah, but isn't it
Or-
boring
or
listening to
movie
us talk
stream.
about it?
No, I like it.
We should skip. Well, I don't know if we'll play this later. In fact, I don't know that I'm gonna do a game stream.
Yeah, I don't think I have it anyway. But anyway, that was Mike's Game Corner. Thank you for entertaining me. Oh, I know if I mentioned I got a Steam Deck, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing is awesome. I should have bought that earlier. So yeah, the Switch is going bye. The Switch was a good time and it's fun, but the Steam Deck is a freaking beast. I'm amazed how much stuff I can throw with that thing and it plays it flawlessly. Even the stuff that isn't deck verified, I was surprised. Every game
Yeah.
that I have in my Steam library, it pretty much plays without any problem
Yeah.
whatsoever.
The
Like,
worst that
like
happened
one.
so far is like text could be small or like trying to type and shit.
I haven't even run into that problem. There was a couple of games where it says like, yeah, there's going to be small or hard to read text and nothing. Like I was playing Path of Exile on it, which has a lot of like little text on it. I didn't have a problem.
I have a
Really?
small
That's impressive.
keyboard, like a
Yeah.
small USB keyboard. I wonder if I should just plug that in, if that ever happens.
Yeah. Anyway, that thing's fun. But anyway, that's pretty much it for me. You guys got anything else you want to cover? Or we can start wrapping it up. Call it a
We could start wrapping it up.
an episode of healthy
Jerry's
length.
sick.
Wow, yeah. I mean,
Oh,
under
yeah,
2
it's
hours. That's crazy.
Well, Jerry, out of consideration for you, I could talk for hours, but you know, seeing as how
Absolutely refuse putting in overtime when you're sick.
yeah.
You're good to me.
I also want I want to give you a chance to change shirts too. You've been wearing that flannel for like months.
Yeah,
at this
should
point.
you?
That's
It's funny because every time I'm like, I should
It's
change up.
fall season. Yeah. You
Yeah.
should now you got to dress up for fall. It's like warmer times. Although the flannel's actually or plaid is like the right thing. You just need autumn colors now.
But at least your hair still looks as nice and silky as it does.
Fashionable.
Oh,
Every-
it's
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
it's very smooth.
And I don't know how that beard never grows. Look at this. I look like a homeless bum again. This is I can't. I should get rid of it, but I refuse. I can't show the face that it's hiding underneath anymore. It's horrible. My daughter will cry. Yeah, I look kind of like that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Is
This is
this
pretty
more
much-
Halloween?
It is more Halloween, but I just meant a shirt.
That actually is
Oh,
pretty
okay.
fun.
Yeah,
That's
like
actually kind of
Hellfire and
Yeah.
Ah,
It's just a candle.
too much hot sauce.
Oh my god. I can imagine. I can only imagine how bad the other end is then.
Oh my
Watch out,
god,
you're
what
gonna
did
get a cramp in your jaw.
I saw some hot sauce.
Jerry, Jerry, put your face back on. I can't take you. I mean, I can never take you seriously, but this makes it even harder.
So
Oh my god.
scroll. There I am. So I was looking for this hot sauce that I like. I want to see if it was on Amazon, and there was. I saw like, oh shit, what's this? That.
By the way, all I can see is a frozen pumpkin on my screen.
Yeah. It's loading. It's loading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the guy from Jackass? Johnny
Knoxville.
Yeah, he has like a hot sauce. It's like
Uh,
butthole sauce or something like it was just like stupid. I was like, the fuck is this? Like, why am I going to get butthole sauce? And they're like,
yes,
it
Jerry.
was-
Why are you going to get butthole
Did you
sauce?
get it? How'd it taste?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I just saw this earlier. Shit, I want to see what this. I want to remember what this said now. Where was it? Let me just do a search for hot sauce.
Prep before the bit.
Yeah, Jerry. This is very unprofessional.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I can't even find it now.
Okay, Kevin, while he's doing that, why don't you come up with? the
Oh,
final
wait,
thought?
Steve-O.
okay.
Steve-O. That was it.
Oh, that
Okay.
guy.
It's like Steve-O's hot sauce for your butthole. It's just hot enough for your butthole to know about it and too delicious for your mouth to forget. And there's like a little
It's not-
pink image of Steve-O with a stick of dynamite in his ass. He's naked except for his sneakers, and he's like got a stick of dynamite in his ass.
Okay,
It,
yeah.
it
That's
doesn't
about as
make me want to buy that hot sauce. I'm sorry.
that's about as funny as their show. Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's one of those things I will never understand. Anybody watching that trash, but whatever. To each his own. If you enjoy it, then God be with you and your anus. All right, Kevin, you got some closing thoughts for us?
Don't stick dynamite up your
Press the
ass.
di-
Don't try this at home, kids.
Thank you, Jerry. I assume you have different advice, the completely opposite. No, stick hot sauce up your ass, bird. What we got?
Especially after eating that hot sauce.
Yeah. You know what? Life's a game, and the best strategy is to play it with a smile. If that smile comes from like butthole hot sauce, then more power to you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, do the research and tell us next time.
Yeah. I'm just gonna end by telling everybody to write angry letters to the writers of What We Do in the Shadows and tell them to get their season. Like really kick them while they're down, while they're pissed off that they're not getting paid appropriately for their work. So write an angry email and say you don't deserve them. I saw the last season of
You
What We Do in
guys
the
are
Shadows.
unprofessional. We could do better.
Yeah, you guys don't deserve the pay you're getting. I'm supporting AI from this point forward. So
I thought that they came to an agreement, and the writers were all really happy.
don't rain on my parade, Jerry. Okay.
Sorry.
This is my closing thought. It doesn't have to make sense, Jerry. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Well, gentlemen, as always, I thank you for your time and your service.
Thank you. Oh, speaking of your time in service, I love the new YouTube thumbnail or main screen. It was pretty awesome.
Yes, they were made with AI.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
because hypocrisy is best served.
Is it really?
Guess what? What? No, I drew that from
Yes,
scratch.
hypocrisy is best served with whatever he was saying.
Yeah, exactly. No, Kevin, what you can't tell, Kevin. I drew that from life. I was watching you and sketch that.
I don't know what you're talking about. Where did you put it? What are you talking about?
Jerry, you know what? How about this, Kevin? After we're offline, I'll show you where I put it. Okay. All right. Why don't you just
like and subscribe on YouTube? Yeah.
This has been a production of
It's just me.
Studios.